Maybe it means it's your left as opposed to most of the world. Most of the world's weak hand is the right. Most of the world's weak hand is the left. So maybe your right hand is like the left of the rest of the world. Okay. V'hatanya meniach b'smolo shu smolo shel kol adam. The Brisa says place it on the left, which is the left of most people. Amar Abaye, Kitanya hahi b'sholet b'shtei. It's not a contradiction because the Brisa is referring to somebody who has full control and ambidextrous over both hands. So if you're totally in control with both hands, then you would still put it on your left. If you're a righty, you put it on your left. If you're a lefty, you put it on your right. And Tosfos is not exactly sure. What if you do some things with your right and some things with your left? What's the determining factor? If you write with your right hand, and most of your actions, you're eating cereal, your 3-point basketball shot, those things. That's not what Tosfos says, but those things are with your left hand. So then there's a suffix where to put it exactly. So, anyways, Tana Debei Menashe. Where do you put it on your arm? The word "ya" is interesting. It can mean arm or hand. So maybe put it in the palm of your hand. No, it says hand. Yad means hand. So I know if you're having the phone in one hand instead in the other, how are you going to hold your phone in the hand? I got it. So Tana Debei Menashe al yadcha zu kiboris. This is the bicep. Beinei necha zu katkat. That's your the skull. So yeah. Heicha Amri Debei Rabbi Yanai. Where exactly on your skull do you put it? Makom shel tino, makom shemocho shel tinok rofes. It's the place where it's a soft part of a baby's head. Is that a fancy English word for it? I don't know what it is. Fentanyl. Sounds like fentanyl. It's not fentanyl, right? No. Precursor. Fentanyl. So somewhere, I don't know. It's somewhere. It's not lower down where the hairline is. And it's definitely not right in the middle of the head. Somewhere between the middle and the front, there's like the soft spot. The soft spot that we have, that a baby has. So that is we're not saying that's the most ideal place to put it necessarily. We're saying that's that's up until that point it can go. We'll see exactly. We know that the ideal place is to put it by the hairline, meaning that has to end before the hairline ends. So the beginning of the hairline is the place. But what is that? Yeah. I see my reflection. Okay. So Bo Mine Plimo Me Rebbe. Bo Mine Plimo Me Rebbe. Plimo asked Rebbe, me? Okay, fascinating. Me Sheyeshlo Shnei Roshim. Yeah, so most people have almost one. This person has two heads. Yeah. So Me Sheyeshlo Shnei Roshim. Siamese twins. Now, the difficulty with this is that we're sort of going to conclude, because we're going to compare it to a case where a child does not live out 30 days. We're going to compare it to this case. So the question, which is not going to be answered, is like, what exactly was Plimo thinking? Meaning, the assumption is you have Siamese twins that last the bar mitzvah. So we're sort of going to prove that they're not going to last past 30 days. That's the assumption. So you have to know what he thinks. But Ba'amine Plimo Me Rebbe, Mi Sheyesh Lo Shnei Roshim. A guy has two heads. Be'ezeh mehen maniach tefillin. Which head does he put his tefillin on? So now, this is how you respond to what you think is a ridiculous question. Just remember, next time your employer asks you something, Amar le, O kum gali, either get up and exile yourself, O kibel alecha shamta, or put yourself into excommunication. Yeah, so now, obviously, with Hashem's sense of humor, Adahachi, as this is happening, he just told them off. Now, the reason why he told them off wasn't just because, it's stupid, is because he felt this question didn't have any practical ramifications. What are you asking? It's not going to happen. So, yeah, exactly, right. So you have to know what was Plimo thinking. Obviously, Plimo was he made it into the Gemara and we didn't. So obviously, he had a rationale. You have to know what that rationale was. So now, however, at the same time, right after this conversation, at the same time, meanwhile, Asahu Gavra, a certain person came and he asked Rebbe, Amar Le, we just had a baby. The Isli Trey Roshe. What are the chances? The baby was born with two heads. So, Kama Ba'ina Lamesa Lakoin. we have to redeem the Kohen. We have to redeem a firstborn with the Kohen called the Pidyon Ben. It's usually 5 slayim. This one got 2 heads. So how much I got to pay the Kohen? It's good business. So that day, a famous story, I heard it at the funeral. Rabbi Yashiv's brother-in-law, said over, and it's a famous story. Rabbi Yashiv was learning very complicated halachas of which insects are kosher or not. And one of them is like one of those that like we don't know what it is, we haven't seen it in years. As he's learning it, it appeared right on his window. The exact insect. I was like this. That's it, like a little bit like this. So yeah. Camel being in the midst of the Kohen. Asahu Saba. So the elder came. Some say elder means Eliyahu Navi, some say not. So Kollel Chayiv Litain Lo Asara Slaim. So it's funny, I guess Rebbe didn't answer at the same time. So it's like a very fun story. One guy asked about Bar Mitzvah Siamese twins. At the same time, a guy gets 1 or 2 mazel tovs for Siamese twins newborn. At the same time, could be Eliyahu Navi walks in and answers the question of 10 slime. It's like it's a party. So, Ini, is that so? When it's like 10 slime for Siamese twins, what's going to be the problem? Same thing. We usually do a Pidyon Ben at day 30. So different reasons, but one of them is because that's the time where if he survives 30 days, so you know that the chance is going to survive. So, it's a double language. She'll surely redeem the firstborn. So I hear from here, I can learn from here that even a kid, so Rashi learns, it means a kid who's going to get killed. Nerag b'toch lamed yom. You would have thought that a kid who gets killed is really fitting to survive 30 days. Unfortunately, he was killed. So you still have to redeem that. That's Rashi. I think Tosfos says a different one, that it's not that he was killed. He was born as a treifa with some kind of fatal wound. Either way, so the kid was killed, unfortunately. So b'toch lamed, within 30 days, you would have thought you should still redeem him, which is interesting. Talmud Lomar, turn the page. Ach. It says the word ach chilek. So it says the word ach, rather, but is ach padotifta, meaning comes to exclude. Right? The word es always comes to include. Ach v'rak come to exclude. So rather, but divides up the verse and tells you we're excluding somebody. Who are we excluding? We're excluding somebody, according to Rashi, who was killed within 30 days from the redemption. Rather, it has to be someone who's alive, who he's here on day 30. So only such a person you have to redeem. Killed, or a car hit him.
Would him dying of natural causes?
What would happen if he died natural? Well, no, the whole according to Rashi, the whole point is that it's somebody that would have survived. The obligations for somebody who would have survived 30 days. Now, according to Tosfos, and I didn't see the whole thing, it's talking about someone who has a fatal wound. So I don't know. They're going to learn the Gemara differently. I don't know. So maybe someone has a fatal wound who survives till day 30. I don't have to see. I don't know. But yeah, according to Rashi, someone who really, it's a big novelty that you would have thought that you're obligated. I believe there's a question, maybe it would help Rashi, potentially. There's a question, when exactly is the obligation of Pidyon Ben start? You could understand it starts on day 30. That's when we do it. You could also understand, though, it starts right away. We just happen to wait till day 30 to see if the kid survives. But really, the obligation begins then. And if that's true, so at least this could be more understandable that he's killed within 30 days. So maybe. Okay, either way. So here's the problem. That the problem is that the kid within 30 days who's killed, we don't do a Pidyon Ben. We come out, we don't do it. And the assumption is that Siamese twins are not lasting past this period of time. So therefore, well, 1 second. So the guy came and asked about his Siamese twins. Eliyahu Navi told him, or Ho Saba told him 10, and we asked 10, but someone who's killed, you don't redeem at all. And yet, Siamese twins that are born, the assumption is they're not going to last more than 30 days, and you require 10 slayim. The kid who's killed within 30 days, 0. The Siamese twins who are not supposed to last for more than 30 days, you have to pay 10. How does that make sense? So a little cryptic, but shiny hacha de gulgolos tolarachmana. So the words are that the difference is that here we count the heads. Pidyon ben goes by the head. That's the language of the Torah. Kamesha shalom la gulgoles, counting the heads. And here there are two heads. So it sounds like that there's two differences. First of all, they're alive right now. The kid that was killed is not alive anymore. He's killed. So right now they're alive. And once they're alive, we count the heads. And since there's two heads, it's going to cost 10 slayim. They might not survive. Apparently, we don't go like that right now. What if they have a disease they're for sure not going to survive? Don't know. Sounds like from here, the assumption is here that they don't last for 30 days, and yet you still have to redeem them. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So fine. That is that.
Kind of a wet.
What do you mean?
The obligation starts when he's born, so based on the head count. The assumption is he's not going to get to 30 days.
Good, but if he does, then you have to. Yeah. Good. Okay, good. So, okay, back to the arm tefillin. Amar mar yad chazuki boris. That is your bicep. Minolan. How do I know that that's preparing tefillin? Maybe put in the palm of your hands. So the word yad can mean arm, or it could mean hand. Russian is the same thing. So I used to always make mistakes in English when I was very young. No one would correct me. I would say my leg hurts. It was my foot. It wasn't my leg. So he was the same thing. Why they didn't correct me? Good question. So that's a good joke on a kid, no? 33 years old, still saying that. Okay. The Tana Rabbanan al Yadcha Zu Gova Shebiyad. Yadcha is the higher part of the bicep. Now, once again, this doesn't mean necessarily you're supposed to put it there. It means that's the highest point that it can go, not higher than that. Al Yadcha Zu Gova Shebiyad. Ata Omer Zu Gova Shebiyad Einu Al Yadcha Mamish, in your hand, the palm of your hand. Amra Torah. So a few answers to this. Hanach tefillin biyad. The hanach tefillin barosh. You got to put tefillin on your hand, on your arm. There I go again. Yeah, put tefillin on your arm. Put tefillin on your head. Ma'ala halan begova shibrosh. Just like the head, we said is that soft part of the baby. That's the higher part of the head. Afkan begova shabiyat. We compare those two. We compare that just like the rosh has to be, the head tefillin has to be higher up. So too, the arm tefillin has to be higher up as well. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Eino Tzarech. No, I have another source. Harehu Omer Vayal Chalos Vayal Lechal Laos Lechal Laos Velo La'acherim Laos. So literally, it means it should be a sign for you and not for others. What does that mean? It means there's parts of the arm that are usually covered, and parts of the arm that are usually uncovered. Elbow and up is usually covered, at least until this generation. No, so elbow. So elbow and up is uncovered, and elbow and down is covered. So it's supposed to only for you a sign. For you means the place where your covered areas. Other people don't have to see those. And elbow down, so that's coming to exclude elbow down. So that's how you know it has to be on the bicep and not in the palm of your hands. Okay, Rabbi Yitzchak Omer, another answer. Eino tzarich. I don't need that source. Rather, Harehu Omer v'santam divrei eila alavavchem ukshartem. Put these words on your heart and bind them. Shetehei sima kineged halev. The placement of the arm tefillin has to be corresponding to the heart. We even a little bit tilt it towards the heart, based off this Gemara, I believe. So three answers how you know it's not the palm, either because it's compared to the head tefillin, has to be higher up, or it's because it has to be for you and not for others, so it can't be in the exposed area, or it has to be corresponding to the heart. Yeah. Rabbi Chia, Rav Acha, Braid, Rav Avia, Mechavein umanach le lahade libe. He went and he put his tefillin precisely corresponding to his heart. Rav Ashi have Yosef. Okay, so you see that he did like that. He did like that. Actually, a story where he actually put him corresponding to his heart. Yeah. So Rav Ashi have Yosef kamei de Ameimar. Rav Ashi was sitting in front of Ameimar. Have tzire biyade. They come as chazon tefillin. So he had a tear on his sleeve, and you could see his tefillin. So he had a tear. There was some kind of wound that he had by his bicep. So he tore his shirt a little bit, said it shouldn't push against his wound, tighter shirt or whatever it is. So he would tear the shirt a little bit. Now, once he tore the shirt, now you can see that. Now you can see his tefillin. So Amar le lo savar lamar lechala os olachem los. So you got to be careful around that. You have exposed tefillin. Someone's going to ask you. You don't hold what Master said. Tefillin is for you and not for others. So Amar le b'makom lechal os itmar. It doesn't mean it can't be exposed. What it means is it has to be in a place that's generally exposed. That place is generally exposed. Right now, I have a wound, so it's open. So it's not. Sorry, thank you. Generally not. I was just testing. So generally not exposed. Very fast. So generally not exposed. Right. So even though it's exposed now, that's not a problem. When it said it has to be in the place that's generally covered over as in not exposed. Good. Thank you. So that's what it means, and therefore it's not a contradiction. Okay, back to the head. Gova shabarosh mino. How do you know it has to be? Right. We're all wondering this. We say in the Shema between your eyes, and then we start feeling guilty that it's not there. Right. So don't feel guilty. So Gova shabarosh minalon, it's on top of your head. Not top of your head. It's towards the top, more towards the top of the head, and not in between your eyes. How do I know? Well, yeah, good. Oh, okay.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah.
So okay, the Tanur Rabbanan Bnei Nechad has to be between your eyes. What's that referring to? Of course, that refers to on your head. Gova shabarosh. So says the Gemara, hold on. Ata Omer is a Gova shabarosh or Einu Ela Bnei Nechad mamish. Who told you that in between your eyes means on top of your head? Maybe in between your eyes means in between your eyes. It's very uncomfortable, no? I mean, well, yeah, you'd be knocking into things. Yeah, okay. Try, yeah. So I know, I was just thinking that. That'd be great. I could get the song to fill in. So Nemar Khan Bnei Necha. So it says here that it's between your eyes. The other place it says between your eyes is when somebody passes away. The pasuk says, you are children to Hashem, your God. And then it says, you should not make scratches or indentations in between your eyes. Now, what does it mean in between your eyes over there? Lo sasimu korcha beinei nechem lemes. So, mala holon begova shebarosh. Just like there, it's referring to not between your eyes, but by the head. So to here, it's referring to by the head. Now, why over there is it referring to by the head? That it doesn't tell us. Yeah, it does tell us. Rashi tells us that the word there, korcha, means a bald spot. So it means you can't go and make a bald spot, meaning you can't pull out your hairs and make a bald spot. And it says that you can't make a bald spot between your eyes. So what does that mean? So it means that the hair, which is, right, this hair over here, you can't go and rip it out over someone's death and create a bald spot in your own head. If you're naturally bald, okay. So, but if you're okay. So, but you can't pull it out. So, okay. So, yeah. Now, good. So, Afkan begova shobrosh. So, Afkan begova shorosh makom she'oseh korcha. Fine. Now, Rabbi Yehuda says, I don't need that source. I have another source. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Eino Tzarech. Amar Torah Hanak Tefillin B'Yad Hanak Tefillin Shabarosh. Put on your Tefillin Shal Yad and put on your Tefillin Shal Rosh. They're compared to each other. Malahalan b'makam roya litame benega echad. Afkan b'makam roya litame benega echad. Okay, let's see if we get this right. Lafuke b'nei necha the kabasar v'seir. So to confirm tzaras, there's sometimes a white hair and sometimes a yellow hair. Now depends when it's an area with hair. So then, and only here, so then you have, I think it's only the white one. The white one is a symbol of teras. When it's an area with hair and an area that's exposed, so then it's going to be yellow. So the arm tefillin is exposed area. So therefore, the only sign of taras is going to be a white hair. A white hair in the taras in that spot is going to be a sign of taras. Now, if you only have hair, so then a yellow hair is going to be a sign of taras. But if it's only exposed, it's only white. If it's only hair, it's only yellow. So if it's an area that has no hair and also hair, for example, between the eyes, their eyebrows, that's hair, and there's exposed area between the eyebrows. So in that area, then you could have two signs for taras, or white or yellow. So the comparison between the hand tefillin and the head tefillin is they both have to be a place with only one sign for taras. So either you're in a non-hairy area, meaning the arm, or you're a fully hairy area, meaning the top by your head, on top of the skull. But the area by your eyebrows is going to be excluded. It has flesh and it has hair, and therefore the ika seir lavan, the ika nami seir tahu, and therefore over there in that area you have two signs that can make it taras, either white or yellow. Okay, that concludes tefillin. Mezuzah, tefillin, and now tzitzis. Arba tzitzios ma'akvos zu es zu she'arba'ason mitzvah achas. So we had a debate in our Mishnah. The rabbis and Rabbi Shmuel, is it one mitzvah or four mitzvahs? So says the Gemara, what's the practical difference? People walk around with four corner garments, have tzitzis on them. Who cares if it's one or if it's four? My beinayu Amar of Yosef sadin betzitzis ike beinayu. When you put sadin into your tzitzis, so sadin is linen, and techeles is wool, meaning that let's say you're lacking. Let's say you're so there's 4 strands of techeles that have to be wool, and let's say your garment is linen. So let's say you only have 3 out of 4 have techeles in a time that we have techeles. Not nowadays, in a time that we have techeles. So let's say 3 out of 4 have techeles. Is that considered invalid tzitzis or valid tzitzis? Well, if each corner is its own mitzvah, that's fine. 3 out of 4. You're on the All-Star game. That's great. You got 3 out of 4. If you hold like the rabbis, it's one mitzvah. If you're lacking, you're lacking. So, and now what happens if you're lacking? It's a big problem because why? You have kilayim. It's wool and linen mixed together. So you're allowed to put wool and linen together for tzitzis because you have a principle called asay dochalos asay. A positive commandment of tzitzis overrides the negative commandment of kilayim, of a forbidden mixture. But that's only if it's a mitzvah. If 3 out of 4 are there, according to the rabbis, not only is not a mitzvah, but you're in big trouble now. You have kilayim, and that's not good. So that's the first difference between them. Rava bar Ahanya Amar, another difference is going to be Talis Bailas Chamesh Ikabenayu. You have a 5-cornered garment. Let's say you cut one corner into 2. So now you have 5 corners, and we're going to learn later on that that's liable in tzitzis. So now, if it's one mitzvah, so then, so 1 second, the Rashi helps out a little bit. If it's like this, a 5-corner garment is liable in tzitzis. Now, do you put on 4 corners? Or do you put on all 5 corners? So the opinion that holds it's one mitzvah for a 4-cornered garment says you only put on 4 corners. The opinion that says that each corner is a mitzvah, so then you got to put on all 5 corners. So meaning when we include a 5-corner garment, what do you include it for? All 5 corners, or just that a 5-corner garment is also liable in tzitzis, but not at all 5 corners, because only on 4 corners, only one mitzvah. Every 4 corners is one mitzvah. Yeah. Yeah. Now, no, that's true. Okay, never mind. Yeah, Ravina says another difference is the Rav Huna ikabeinayu. What did Rav Huna say? Rav Huna hayotze betalis she'eno mitzuyetzes ki hilchasa b'Shabbos chayiv chatos. a person goes around with a talus. That's not proper. 3 corners have tzitzis and the 4th one doesn't. And he's walking in a public domain. But that's called carrying on Shabbos. So when you have the tzitzis on it, so you're wearing it. But if you're just doing this, that's just called carrying it. And therefore you're liable on chatas. So that's going to be a big difference. If you have 3 corners that have tzitzis on them, according to Rabbi Shmuel, that's 3 mitzvahs. That's fine. That's not carrying. It's mitzvahs. According to the rabbis, if you have only 3 corners have tefillin on them, so then that's carrying. So, yes, the difference could be, do we push off a cliff or not? That's a big difference. So, Amar Rav Shisha Breder of Edi. Now, Haiman debatzre leglime, lo avid velo klum. So somebody who sounds like he actually 2 interpretations. One for some reason Rashi at the very end of the chapter. I don't know why, but somehow you circled off the corner. So you circled off the corner. So one of the corners of your garments is doesn't look like a corner anymore. So the question is, if I do that, am I still liable? It's no longer a 4-corner garment. The answer is you did nothing, because the reason is because it can always be undone and go back to being a 4th corner, meaning it's not permanent. It's able to go back and be a 4th corner still. You just folded it over.
If it really is.
Then you did something. So Hayiman the batel gimelo ave velo klum shavya talis vilas chamesh. You made it by what? Folding one over. Oh, I'm sorry. I was jumping a few lines there. 1 second. Hayiman the batel. Yeah, sorry. You cut 1 corner into 2. That's the case? No, you rounded it off. Yeah. It's going to get undone. He knotted it, right. So you knotted the corner. So you did nothing because it's going to end up getting undone. Okay. And if anything, you made it into a 5-cornered garment now. Now, why is it 5-cornered?
In the first case, you just cut it. It's like you cut it that way.
Yeah, you're right. There are 2 cases. 1 second. No.
And then the other one is Rabbi Shashi.
Yeah, later on. So 1 second. Rav Shisha bar Edi, Rashi says, what did he do? He ended up, it was a very long talus, so he folded it over, and he placed the tzitzis on the circular. It's a circular corner. That's what it is. You circled off the corner. So, question: did you do anything? So the answer is no, because it's going to get undone. And okay, but what happened now that you circled it over? Really, now it has 2 corners.
Yeah,
right. So it's interesting. You didn't take it away because it's going to get undone. But while it's in its current state, it's going to be 5. Amr Misharshia. So this is going to be the same wording. Hayman de tsari leglime lo avid. Sorry, no. Sorry, that was Bacha. That was sorry. Hayman de tsari leglime lo avid below klum. No, you're right. I did confuse it. This case is a folio over. 1 second. So what was Batz, right? Batz was just that you cut it. Yeah, sorry. The previous case was you cut 1 corner from the corners, and now it looks like 2 corners. You try to cut off one of your corners. Cutting off one of your corners, now you got 2 corners. So that's all that first line meant. The previous case, you cut 1 corner, and now it looks like 2 corners. So it's not that you took away a corner; you made 5 corners. You cut 1 corner into 2. Now you have 2 corners. Therefore, you'll be liable. It'll be a 5-corner garment, and according to Rabbi Shmuel, you'll have to put on tzitzis on a 5th corner as well. Amar of Misharshi, if you have a very long garment, Hayiman de Tzaire, this you wrapped up, you folded it over, Leglime, lo avid velo klum. There you did nothing. You folded it over, and that's considered you like, oh look, I took my corner garment, a nice sharp corner by my garment, I folded it over, and now it's an oval. So that's a nothing, because that's going to be undone and go back to the way it was. Yes, if you cut it off, then it's different, but it's going to go back to the way it was. So therefore, my time at the command of Shari Dummy, it's as if it's already undone. Meaning you don't look at something the way it is now. You look at what it could be. Since it could be undone any moment and go back to a corner, just because temporarily right now it's folded over, that's not how you view it. You view things in its essence, not temporarily how it is. I'll prove it to you. It's nami kol chamasos hatsuros tehoros chutz mishal arvim. So you have these flasks that you sewed. You sewed the bottom of, so to be a receptacle that you have to that you're able to become tameh, you have to have a receptacle, something that can contain something. So instead of sewing the bottom of these flasks, you sort of folded them up. So you sort of fold up and made a receptacle. So you fold it up and now it could contain something for the moment. So we say that's the horim. Those are not going to be able to get contaminated by tumah, because as soon as they get unfolded, they're back to a flask with no bottom to it. So just because right now you've made a temporary bottom, that's not going to help. It has to be permanent, except for the Arab flask. The Arab flasks. So it sounds like it's normal for them to drink this way, these temporary folds, and therefore, since that's the way they usually do it, we are going to view that flask as a something which could become contaminated. But something which in its essence doesn't have a bottom, and you just happen to right now try to make a makeshift bottom, it's still going to be pure from being able to become tameh. This is what I was talking about before. So there's actually two explanations. One is here and one's at the end of the parak. I don't know why. Here you actually folded it over the corner and you sewed it together, that they shouldn't go back. Does that remove you from the obligation of tzitzis? Lo avid velo klum. That's also a nothing, even though it's sewed together, because until you cut it off, we still see the corner there, even if it's folded over and sewn together. So it's still part of the talis. It's still part of the talis. So im isa delo mi bayile le mifsok vi le shadye. So yeah. He can cut it off, right? That's all. But if he really wants to evade his tzitzis observance, just cut it off and remove it. So it sounds like the fact that he really folded it over and even sewed it, he doesn't really want that corner to be gone, because if he did, he would have done something about it. Rabbi Shmuel Omer Arba Son Arba Mitzvahs. Rabbi Shmuel says that the four corners are 4 mitzvahs. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel Halakha Rabbi Shmuel. Halakha is like Rabbi Shmuel. Malay Halakha is Kavase. Says the Gemara, no, it's not true. The Halakha is not like Rabbi Yehuda thought in the name of Shmuel. Halakha is like Rabbi Shmuel. Halakha is like the rabbis that it's 1 mitzvah. Ravina Have Ka'azil Abasrei Demar Baravashi. It's interesting. He was walking behind, Ravina was walking behind Mar Baravashi on Shabbos de Rigla, on the Shabbos of the holiday, meaning 30 days before a holiday comes. There's an obligation to study the laws of that holiday, to prepare yourselves accordingly. Sources by Pesach Sheni, the ones that missed Pesach Rishon, they had a month to prepare for Pesach Sheni. There we learn out that you have 30 days to prepare for a holiday. So what would they do on Shabbos? Not like we think nowadays on inspirational sermons. No, they'll give halachas to make sure people keep the holidays correctly. So what happened? He was going on the way to give his sermon to teach you the halachas of the holiday. So ifsik karna dechute, one of his strings falls off, gets cut off, and he does not notice. Now Ravina didn't say anything. And this is very interesting. This gets involved with telling people when they did something wrong. This gets involved with if they did it inadvertently. Should you tell them or not tell them? When yeah, when not. That's interesting. So he didn't say anything. Kadmata lebase, when he got to his house, Ravina told him, Amarle, mehasam ifsik. By the way, your corner over there got ripped off a little while earlier. So Amarle, if you would have told me that when I was walking on Shabbos, what would have happened to Shadis? I would have taken it off right away. I can't carry in a public domain. So I would have taken it off right away. Now, why didn't he tell him? Is a good question. So, but before we get there, one second. We have an amazing concept that you have to know the ramifications of this exactly. But Gadol Kavod Abrios Shadok Eslo Seisha B'Torah. Gemara Brachos tells us that a that a person's dignity is such a value that it can even override negative commandments in the Torah. So in this case, we're asking, you would have really taken it off in a public domain, your tzitzis? That would have been embarrassing for you to take off your tzitzis. So you're allowed to continue walking, even though it's a biblical violation. You can get stoned for this, but you can continue walking because of your dignity. So what do you mean you would have taken them off? So Targma Rav Barshaba Kamei Kahana, he says, no, that it pushes away a negative commandment means when the rabbis made a commandment, there's a negative commandment to not follow them, called lo sasser. Hashem says you have to not deviate from the rabbis right or left. So when, let's say, muktzah, if it was in a domain that wasn't a public domain, as we'll see in a second, and the only problem is, let's say, muktzah. So now you have your personal dignity and muktzah. But behind muktzah is a negative commandment to follow the rabbis. If you don't do muktzah, then you're over that negative commandment. So that's where we'll say that your dignity overrides. Now, interesting question, right? We know the principle is when you have a doubtful rabbinic situation and you're in doubt, we're lenient. You're not sure if you made a bracha or not. So you don't make another bracha. While biblically we're stringent. But if every rabbinic, if you're not sure you made a bracha, so you don't make another bracha because it's rabbinic. But let's say if every rabbinic thing that we do has a biblical source behind it, so every rabbinic mitzvah is really a biblical mitzvah. How do you work that out? I think the Ramban on the Rambam, or I think the Ramban on the Rambam asked that question. So now the Igad Amri, that's one version of the story. The Igad Amri, another version of the story is Mehasam. Igad Amri Mehasam Amrle. He told him over there right when he got cut off. But Amrle, my daitech. What do you want me to do? Take it off? The Hamarmar. He said, yeah. Sorry. The Hamarmar, I can't take it off. Gadol kavod of Bria, Shadok lo say Shabbatorah. My personal dignity overrides the negative commandment. I Targum Rabbi Bar Shaba Kamei of Kahana, Bilav lo Sasser. Yeah, but that only applies when the negative commandment is the command of lo Sasser, of not deviating from what the rabbis say. So you should take it off because right now you're in a biblical situation, not rabbinic. Says the Gemara, you're right. The story, the reason why he didn't take it off, because Hachanami Carmelis, the Rabbanani, he was in what we call a Carmelis, which is another domain, which is in between a private domain and a public domain. Where you live is a Carmelis. Where I live is a Carmelis. There, the Rabbanan made a prohibition to carry. It's too similar to a public domain. You're going to carry here, walking down the street. You're going to carry on the I-5 also. If you can get on the I-5 while walking. So, you've done it. Oh, yeah, when you have to help the people out. Yeah, you walk down the Erev Shabbos. So, okay, good. Hadran Allah Chakomit. Let's just start the Mishnah. It's a short Mishnah. You have blue strings and white strings. What if you're missing the blue strings? We'll see what that means. No white strings. No, it means what came first. If you put one on first and put one on second, does that cause any problems? The answer is no. Tefillah shel yad, and here's what we had yesterday by the person who didn't have an arm, who only wears head tefillin. Tefillah shel yad, ena ma'akaves es shel rosh, v'shel rosh ena ma'akaves es shel yad. One does not prevent the other. Sometimes you can have one without the other. Okay. These are fun. Enjoy the fun ones while they left. Gary is online. I don't know if he's ever awake or asleep, but he's definitely online.
He's awake, not asleep.
Oh, good. Yeah. Gary's like Eliyahu Navi. You have to merit certain levels to see him merit it.